Okay. I think it's there. Wow. Finally. Wow. Finally. Oh my God, that took forever. I don't understand why. I tried to do it directly through OBS and it was just kind of like not working. OBS has this like input where you can say do it right through YouTube, and I thought that's what you needed to do, and apparently that is not the case. So lesson learned for next time. I just did it the way that I remember doing it, and it worked flawlessly. So here I am. How are you guys doing? How is everyone doing right now? Everyone's doing okay, even though we're losing 1-0 to them godforsaken Maple Leafs. You can hear me too, I assume? No, not a great start against the Leafs, that's for sure. We just let them dictate the pace. Hey, Sam, we let them dictate the pace at the beginning of the game, and that was a bad idea. I don't know why we did that. Yes, it's working. Hurrah! I don't know why it wasn't before. It was so ridiculous. I just, like I told Avedon, I just did what I used to do, and it worked flawlessly. Instead of doing the new way, it was really not the proper. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that Sorokin save was nasty. He'll do that to you, to them, I guess. So thankfully he's on our side. I'm gonna minimize this stream. I'm watching the game on my computer as well, and I'm just worried it's gonna chew up all the bandwidth. So I'm just gonna make the screen super small, and maybe it'll be a little bit better. Yeah, it's saying the stream's current bit rate is way too high, or is way too low. So I'm gonna close the game. And that should help. That should help a whole lot. Well, okay. So, what do we want to talk about right now? The Vezina Trophy, because I think you're right. They're going to give it to Ullmark. I don't agree. I really think it should be Sorokin. Even just looking at it without the Islanders bias, it really should be Sorokin. But it's going to be Ullmark. It's just, yeah. Yeah, one of the big teams, yes. So Original Six having a massive, like record-breaking year, or on pace to be a record-breaking year, and the goalies putting up incredible numbers. That's huge. Oh, he is hurt. So yes, I'm saying Nelson is hurt. Ouch, ouch. That would not be good. That would be really bad for the Islanders. Because losing Nelson and then Barzal. Oh, although Barzy should be back soon. Fingers crossed. Yeah. The problem is the voters are also national guys. Most they don't watch him say day in day out. Yeah, that's true. It's the broadcasters that vote for the Vezina Trophy. It's not like even the hockey writers. It's not GMs. Oh no, it is. Is it not GMs that vote for the Vezina? I'm pretty sure it's actually GMs who do. Was it not? I was pretty sure. And then they obviously don't see every goalie either. But they also just vote with wins. Wins matter for some stupid reason. A team stat should not be used to judge an individual award. Will Lou send Wallstrom down to Bridgeport for rehab? I don't think so. Mainly because I don't think he's not back this year. He's not going to be back this year, so he's going to have all off season to rehab, get set, get ready, and then training camp to get set and get ready, and then play. So I don't think he's going to have to go to rehab. Like Nelson, or not Nelson, but Wallstrom is out indefinitely, and we saw. I don't know how old this picture is, but I only saw it today. He was wearing a knee brace, he being Wallstrom. So if Wallstrom is still wearing a knee brace, I don't imagine he's anywhere near ready or close enough to be to play a game, specifically under Lou Lamoriello. So I would believe he's not going to go to Bridgeport for like a 2-week conditioning stint. I don't think that's in the cards for Wally. What do you think Wally has to do to take the next step and finally become a consistent top six producer? It's not it's not his defensive game. His defensive game's never going to be good. I think we have to get used to the idea that Wallstrom is not a good defensive player. He's not a bad one, and he could be a better one, but I don't think he's eventually just going to kind of like turn it up and become this defensive juggernaut. It's just not in the cards for him. What he needs to do is manipulate space, and obviously that's easier said than done, but he's got to find those spaces on the ice. I was just watching today. Obviously, we're all watching the Leafs game, and there is this simple thing that Matthews does that is just, and of course, Wallstrom's not going to be on Matthews' level, but something he could maybe adapt to his own game. It's timing. Matthews uses timing so well to create that space. The shot that he got off in that first period where he almost scored, he was only able to do that because he timed the offside, or the onside, if you will, perfectly. It was perfect. He was able to get into the zone at the exact right time he needed to, with the exact right amount of pace to drive the lane to accept the pass on an open look on net. Now, Wallstrom won't do that specifically because he's not that fleet of foot, but he's got to find a way to do something along those lines, to find those spaces on the ice, because once he gets into those spaces, that shot will do the work for him. He just needs to get in the space. That's what's going to get him into that top six mentality. Although I think they being the Islanders, or them being the Islanders, can help him by giving them the ice time he needs. None of this play bottom six roles, learn how to be a defensive player. It's just a waste of time. So no injuries will hold him back. Injuries will hold him back. Yeah. And then Sam says, what happened to Andong Song? On Cap Friendly, it says his ELC is indefinite. Yeah, I noticed that too. I'm pretty sure it says indefinite on Cap Friendly. Let's just bring it up real quick here on Cap Friendly, if we will. I'm assuming you're gonna see what I'm seeing because I've got it on OBS there. So I'm just making sure that you guys can see what I see. So I'm kind of vamping here, just to make sure. But it does say indefinite for Andon Song there, right? In the future, even. They're not even saying a year. They're just saying in the future, the Islanders still hold his rights indefinitely. And this is a 6th round pick from 2015. Why would they hold his rights indefinitely? And I'm pretty sure they drafted him out of the USHL, if I'm not mistaken. So he was drafted in 2015. So he was playing prep hockey. So it would still be like NCAA kind of draft rules where you would lose the draft status after he graduates. And he has graduated. As far as I know, he has graduated, I believe, last year, and he's no longer at the college level. And as we can see here, or we saw on Cap Friendly, he's not playing hockey anywhere else. So I'm not sure why he's still indefinite right now. That doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me based off of where the Islanders drafted him, that being prep hockey. So I'm not sure why it says indefinite, but I don't think we'll ever see Andon Song be a professional hockey player. He's not playing hockey right now, so I don't think there's anything there with Andon Song. And I don't think there ever really was. It was really just like an okay defensive player of Chinese descent. So good on him for being the first Chinese players drafted at the NHL draft, but there was barely a hockey player there to begin with, and there is no hockey player there now. I'm sure he has a LinkedIn by now, says Avedon. Yeah, I would imagine he does. It's just, what name does he go by? Andong Song or Misha? I've seen him listed as Misha Song in other places. LinkedIn, if we will. Let's do some sleuthing. Why not? Yeah, see Misha Song here, investment banker. There you go. Like, here he is. Sign into his full profile. I'm gonna do it. Well, I'm not gonna sign in because I don't remember my LinkedIn password and stuff. But let's just go back to the Google. We can see that's very much Andon Song, same guy. And if we go back, Misha Song, incoming investment banking summer analyst. So he is definitely transitioning away from hockey and into the banking world. That's what he studied at Cornell, and that's what he's seemingly going to do now. I wish him all the best. Okay, so what do we got here? It says, what's up? Yeah, right, Oven, that's pretty funny. So Sam says, what's up with Paul LeDoux in Bridgeport? I haven't seen him play in about a few weeks. So because Paul LeDoux's age, or not age, but number of games played, the AHL has a veteran rule. They call it a development rule, but the point of the rule is to keep older players or more experienced players off the roster. So you're not a dumping ground for NHL squads, right? Like, you can't just bring in a bunch of guys, veterans, and stash them in the AHL. The point of the AHL is to develop younger players, and so they limit the number of experienced NHLers. Look, I'll bring it up now. AHL developmental rule. Of course. Oh, nice, because I misspelled AHL. There it is, right here, right straight on Google. So if you're looking at it now, it says, of the 18 skaters, not counting 2 goalies, that teams may dress for a game, at least 13 must be qualified as development players. And what they mean by that is you have to play 260 or fewer games or 320 or fewer games. And so that's why Paul LeDoux isn't getting in, because they've already got a number of guys like that. Chris Terry counts. Andy Andreoff counts. Robin Salo, I'm pretty sure, also counts. I remember doing the count a while ago, and Salo counted because they also count, like you saw earlier. Let me just bring it up again here. They count European elite leagues. And last I checked, the Liga in Finland and the Swedish SHL are both European elite leagues, so that would count. And he played a long time, specifically in Finland. So with all that, that's why Paul LeDoux isn't playing, in my opinion. I don't think he's been good enough to begin with. But along with the developmental rule and the fact that he's not playing that well, that's why he's not playing. So Avedon says, what are your thoughts on Cam Berg? I feel like he went under the radar this year, but had a really nice season, especially towards the end. Maybe he's our next breakout prospect next year. Yeah, that's a good point right there. So if we bring up Cam Berg, I want to bring up my sheet, my super nerdy, like, here's my spreadsheets, because that's how I like to look at things and conceptualize it. So if I bring that up, you're seeing my Google Docs there. Don't steal my information. Cameron Berg. So he's got a 10-point NHLE this year, which is down from when he was playing at the USHL level, right? But he was a overage player at the USHL level that year. He had 58 points in 51 games from the Muskegon Lumberjacks, and he was on the older side. And so when you're on an older side in what is a not even junior league, it's just above prep hockey, really. If not at level with prep hockey, you're probably going to dominate the league. And he didn't dominate, but he did very well. But now at the NCAA level, as a sophomore player, he did very well. You're right, 10 goals, 24 points in 37 games. I like his two-way play. I don't think he's going to wow us on the score sheets, but at least at the AHL level, I think we got a guy who could be a solid, I'm going to say middle six center, but I think it's going to be more geared towards the third line. He's a really smart player, a heck of a shot. He's got to piece together a bit more to like fully flush out his game, specifically on the D end, but like what prospect doesn't have to flush out the defensive game? And so I think he could be poised for a big year. That's assuming he's going to get the top line assignments for Omaha, Nebraska. I assume he will, but if he doesn't, then I don't think he's going to have that big of a year per se. But based off of how they've used him over the last little bit, I can see him being on that top line for them on most nights. He was this year, so I definitely see that going forward. And you're right, Alvin, I can see him taking a big step up next year and being one of those guys kind of fulfilling an Alex Jeffries role this year. So Sam says, hey Mitch, who was your favorite Islander player of all time? My favorite player was Radek Martinek. And so, well, if it's really, it's on the wall here. I'm going to try to point it right there. Pierre Turgeon was my favorite player of all time. Close second, like basically 1A, 1B, Danny Potvin. So Potvin is from where I live, and Pierre Turgeon was a guy I met when I was a kid, and really good hockey player, so that just kind of works. And French guys, so both of them French guys, which helps a whole heck of a lot as another French person. So that was my favorite Islander of all time, mainly because like I love Denny Potvin. Oops, I'm pointing the wrong one. Denny Potvin, but I didn't get to see Denny play, but I got to see Pierre Turgeon play. So that's kind of why I'm going with Turgeon, even though Potvin was a superior player, that's for sure. And then Sam says, I can see Eto Lucas breaking out next year. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And by breaking out, like a little bit of a better year this year, like he had a good year. I'm just trying to find it here. That's why my eyes aren't on the camera. And so if we look at the spreadsheet for Eto Lucas, big jump in terms of NHLE this year, right? 14.3 points because my man had 23 points in 58 games for HPK. Sadly, they didn't make the playoffs, so he couldn't kind of further that. But in a more offensive role, he did very well. He's not going to be anything more than a bottom six at best. He's probably going to be a fourth line player if he ever gets to the NHL. But very much in the mold of Cal Clutterbuck. Absolutely. I remember talking to Ruslan Shukov about him, and Ruslan kept telling me, maybe not kept telling me, he told me once, that he reminds him, so Eto Lucas reminds Ruslan Shukov of Valery Nichushkin, which is a hell of a praise. I don't think Eto Lucas is ever going to be anything like Valery Nichushkin, but what Ruslan was saying is he's got size, he's got a hell of a shot, just like Valery. Does he have the upside talent? I wouldn't say so, but Eto Lucas works as hard, if not harder than anyone else, and he's ready to put it all on the line, which is endearing for any player. Then you add all these other things that he does, like I said, the shot and the hitting and the so on and so forth. Excellent prospect. I could see him breaking out. I think Cam Berg more than Eto Lucas because this may have been the breakout season for Eto Lucas. Avedon says, I do the same thing with Excel. Love it. Excel is my jam. I'm maybe not the greatest at it because you can tell like this isn't really the prettiest spreadsheet in the world, but it works. I can make it look better. I just haven't spent the time to pretty it up, if you will. It works for my needs, and that's all that really matters. I don't think I focused the camera. Oh, there we go. Okay. Anthony says, will the Isles sign Jeffries this offseason? Please, oh my God, please sign him this offseason. I know Lou loves the if you've got time, take it approach. I get that. But with Alex Jeffries, man, I really don't think you should take the time to see what he's got for a senior year. I don't want to risk him going to free agency or even kind of sniffing it. So when we look at the spreadsheet for Alex Jeffries, just absolutely incredible, like doubling his production every year. Sure, the games played were, there's a big gap in games played because of COVID there, but my word, the production doubling every year. And then when you look at the NHLE, he's adding. Yeah, he took a step back last year because, the number of games played, but he took a huge step up this year, added 7 points to his NHLE. And not single-handedly, but played a massive part in vaulting Merrimack into the NCAA tournament this year. Without him, they don't get to the NCAA tournament. Great goaltending, good defensive play. Scott Borek, great coach. But Alex Jeffries took care of the offense for them. I want them, being the Islanders, to sign him this offseason because I don't want him to get anywhere near free agency. Not even close, please. I don't want it. That my heart is already weak enough. It's why I've got this Apple Watch to make sure I don't go through AFib again. I couldn't deal with an Alex Jeffries going to free agency. That would be a huge loss for me. Now, with that being said, I don't want to make it seem like Alex Jeffries is some sort of blue chip prospect. I just think he's a good B-level prospect that we basically got for free. It's a 4th-round pick. So it's tossing a dart, and you got a B-level prospect out of it. That's a win in my books. And so Sam says, for sure. And then Anthony, Isles not looking good tonight. I had to turn the game off because it was kind of messing with the stream. But from what I saw, they were not. They kind of powered back in the later portion of that first period. From what I saw, but the first 3/4 of it was not good. They let the Toronto Maple Leafs dictate the pace, and why the hell would you do that? Although with that being said, the Isles still look a little sluggish. When you look at their skating, even Hudson Fasching just looks leggy, and that's not a good thing when you're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. All right. So, Sorokin is carrying. Yes, Sam, you're absolutely right. Sorokin is carrying, which gets us back to what we said at the beginning of the live show. Sorokin should win the Vezina. He won't, but he should because he's carrying. Avidan said, just wanted to pitch your Patreon channel while I have the chance. Do you mean the Up the Turnpike patron channel? So that's the Isles podcast between Matt O'Leary and myself. So going back to the Eyes on Isles days, where we do 2 shows a week, and we're trying to fill in a whole bunch of other extra content on there. It's $5 a month. Like I said, 2 podcasts a week, each of them a Q&A session where you can pitch us whatever you want. Spiz always throws us a curveball. So do others. It's a great time with a great community of 118 Islanders fans already there. So join if you will. Thank you, Avidan, for that. Anthony says, realistically, do you really think anyone from Bridgeport next year? Anyone from Bridgeport next year? I don't think Tifo will be ready. So do you think? So Anthony, I assume you're asking me, is anyone going to make the jump up to the NHL level next year from Bridgeport? That's a good question. I don't think so. The closest player is Rustin Ishikov. Sorry, I'm just burping my chicken that I have for dinner, so pardon me. I think the closest one is Rustin Ishikov, and he might step up next year. They're giving him the season, obviously, to say, show us what you've got, and they're going to evaluate that next year, I believe. Now, is that the fair approach? I don't think so. I think he should have gotten call-up by now, but it is what it is. At this point, unless there's another injury, there's no reason to bring him up. But you're right. I don't think anyone other than Rustin Shikov will be ready next year. I don't think Phil will be ready either, and that's fine. Take your time with Williams Full. If we go and look at the contracts, I'm pretty sure he signed his 3-year ELC just last year. So he's got 2 years after this. You've got time. And he's still an RFA after that. So you've got more time. There's no reason to rush Williams Full right away. Actually, Budzik. Budzik counts. I'm not thinking of him right now because he's on the team today. Budzik should very well step into the NHL next year. I'm not going to guarantee it because you can't guarantee anything, but I'm fairly certain of it. Sam says, in 5 years, and Varlamov is gone, who will be the Isles' backup, Skarek or Lennox? Probably Lennox if they don't draft or sign a different goalie by then. 5 years is a long time. I don't think Skarek is an NHL goalie. I really don't. He significantly lacks consistency. He's been good in flashes at the AHL level, but hasn't been able to hold it. And I don't mean like hold a 920 save percentage. I just mean like hold a 910 save percentage. Hasn't been able to do that consistently. So I worry about him. I don't think he's an NHL caliber goalie. And we'll see Lennox next year. But yeah, if I have to choose between the two, I'm going to say Lennox. Anthony says Barzal isn't even skating yet. I don't see him back at all this year. Fair. Although we did see something online today. I don't know if it's reputable at all, saying he was rollerblading, which is what it is. You're right. He's not skating in terms of like an intense hockey skating, though, which is vastly important to being able to play an intense hockey skating game. So I don't know if he's going to be back this year. Lane Lambert seems confident, so I'm going to just give that to him and say, like, okay, he's going to be back this year. We'll see, but, yeah, I have to believe Lane Lambert. Sam says, I think Durando, Bolduc are ready, and Ishikov. Yeah, Durando is an interesting one. So I talked about Bolduc, and I talked about Ishikov. Bolduc is an interesting one for sure. Durando is, because he played very well with the call-up he got. I gave him a really good grade for his stint when he was here. But I worry about the competition he's going to face for one of those bottom 6 roles. Hudson Fasching seems like a lock. Zach Parise's back if he wants to, in my opinion. And then you have the fourth line signed until the moon explodes, or the sun, I guess. That kind of limits where Arnaud Durando can fit into the lineup. He's not a center, so take 2 spots away already. He's a winger. You can play him on either one if you want. But when you list the names there, you're starting to run out of spots for him. He's going to have to prove or earn a spot at training camp, and I have a hard time believing he will, just because they love their veterans. And Dennis says, Nelson is out, hit in the numbers. Oh, is he out? Oh, Anthony says, with Nelson out of this game, we are done. Oh, Nelson is out. Oh my God, please let it not be a long-term injury. It already sucks that he's out this game, but a long-term injury would be devastating. Did the player who hit him at least get a penalty? Did we at least get a power play out of it? Please? And definitely, as the stream continues over the next, 35 minutes, please tell me what the score is, because I don't have it up right now, and I don't care about spoilers. I stream games that are regularly 2 minutes behind, so I'm already in spoiler country here. Sam Sports says Sturgeon hasn't been the same, that amazing this year. That's true. There's a reason New York isn't as good as they probably thought they'd be, as in top of the division, and that's because Shesterkin hasn't been elite, which is kind of worrisome as far as where they are right now without him being elite. Whew. Anthony, problem with Wally is his skating. He can't create enough room for him to get his shot off. So that's basically I don't know if you heard what I said earlier about Wally, but I basically agree with you. Now, I think he can work on the mechanics of his skating, but he's never going to be the fastest skater out there. And so if he can't create enough foot speed to generate that separation, then that's going to be a problem. Sam Sports, am I crazy or it's just Sam? I don't know. I did a whole Ron Burgundy and I just read it out loud. Am I crazy or was Eric Gustafsson signed with the Islanders on a PTO last year? You are not crazy. That is the same Eric Gustafsson. It is the same guy. So ouch for us. But they really thought they had something in Aho, I think. And the fact that Aho took a step back last year was a big blow to last year was a big blow to the Islanders because they signed the older guys and Aho was supposed to take a big step forward and he did not. Abaddon says, I believe it was last year. No, I'm not sure what that is in reference to. There's quite a gap. There we go. Between what I'm saying and what you're hearing. So when I'm speaking live here, you're not getting the live audio. There's at least a minute or so delay there. So try to give me as many details as possible. Sam says, I would love to see Tsufuga and Maggio next year. It will be nasty. Yeah, it's just who's going to be the center, right? I assume... Actually, I can't assume who's going to be the center. I don't know. Both of those guys are wingers. You could technically play Rusnishikov down the middle, but I don't think he is a center at the North American level, at the pro North American level. And I said that for a while now. So that's what would worry me. Who's going to be the center there? Sam says, I think Mayfield will be gone next year. I kind of agree. The extension is what I think is going to stop him from staying here because they're going to sign him. There's no doubt about it. It's just for how long? Is it going to be 4, 5, 6 years? Because that's too long. I would not sign Mayfield for longer than 3 and no more than $3 million. And based off of his market value, he's probably going to get more than that. And that's just too much for my blood and the Islanders' blood, in my opinion. So I agree with you there. And you can bring in Grant Hutton, in my opinion, and fill that role. Sam says, Scarrick's save percentage is awful. It's like an 890 this year. Let's take a look. Scarrick AHL stats. Let's go over here. Jakub Scarrick this year is exactly a 896. Good job, Sam. You're right on it. 896 save percentage, 2 shutouts, 329 goals against average with 11 wins. Although wins, whatever, I don't really care about that so much. And that goals against average has, stabilized between the last 2 years at 330. Save percentage 896. That's not great. That's really not great at all. You want to see better stats than that. Again, you don't need 920 per se, but you want to see above 9. Come on. I'm seeing Parise tied it. Yes, I'm just reading some of the lower comments there, and I'm seeing 1-1 Parise. God, Parise is such a good player. Oh my God, for league minimum. Amazing. Okay, so Anthony says, if you had to pick one to make an impact with the Isles at some point, who would it be? Maggio, Dufault, or Jeffries? I'm going to say Jeffries. Between the three, I worry about Dufault's skating at the NHL level. I think it's fine, but it's not that great. And Maggio, I haven't seen enough, specifically at the pros, obviously, to really kind of definitively say he's going to be the real thing. So I'm going with Jeffries because I've seen him at the NCAA level. He's got smarts. Scott Boric has talked about how he's one of the more intelligent players he's ever coached and played in the league at the year or at the time I spoke with him. And there's no issues with Alex Jeffries skating. He's not the fastest skater, but he's a fast skater. So I'm going to say Jeffries. Sam says that's an impossible question to answer. That's fair. Anthony Rizzi then. So Anthony says, who's the best prospect of those? So maybe not who would start. Who's the best one? Based off your original question, I would say Jeffries would be the answer. And like you say, I don't like full skating. Totally agree with you. Is Maggio or Jeffries any better? I would say Jeffries is a much better skater. Maggio probably a little bit better. So yeah, that's the order that I would do it in. Avedon says Nelson out, call up Ishikov. Yeah, why the hell not? What are we waiting for? Why not? It's going to be Otto Koivula because the center's gone. It's going to be Otto Koivula. I'm telling you this right now. Otto Koivula, don't unpack your bags because you're getting called up if Nelson is out longer than a game. It should be Rustin Ishikov, but it's going to be Otto Koivula. Sam says, I loved Sfuk and Maggio, but I would pick Jeffries. Totally agree. Dennis, Nelson not in to start second. Oh, God, Jesus. And there was no penalty, Sam? Come on, refs. Zebras were not having a good one when I was watching. They were not doing well. So Parise. Oh, no, I hate Hutton's game. Every game in Bridgeport, he makes a dumb mistake. Well, then he fills right in for Scott Mayfield. That's a 1-for-1. He's a right-handed guy who makes a mistake every game. That's Scott Mayfield. As much as I love Scott Mayfield's penalty killing, his ability to make a first pass out of the zone is like the worst I've ever seen. It is really bad. He's, again, a great penalty killer. Excellent. But you can't just have a guy sit there and be a penalty killer. You can't have, like Yannick Perreault. I don't know if you guys remember who Yannick Perreault was, but he played for a number of teams. But I remember from his days with Montreal, where he would just go out there and take a face-off and get back on the bench. He was there basically just to take face-offs. You can't do that in this day and age and then convert that to a defenseman. You can't have a guy just go out there to kill penalties. You need him to do so much more than that. And that's my issue with Scott Mayfield. Now, if you're telling me Grant Hutton is 1-for-1, maybe that's not the greatest fit. But at least in terms of money saved, it's a good fit. Because you're not going to have to pay him nearly as much as Scott Mayfield. So I'm trying to get all the water in. I'm gonna finish this liter of water before the stream is done for sure. I can already feel like my lips just like cracking under the weight of talking for an hour. So Avedon, Parise is such a steal. It's wild. Nice. He is a hell of a steal, right? We talked about it on the Patreon the other day, where he's making $750 and he's getting $863, I believe, from Minnesota until the sun explodes. I think it's 28, 29. So what does the next contract look like for Parise? Assuming he wants to continue playing. Like, he's going to be 39 years old. And as much as I like to poke fun at the fact that that's young, it is not. Like, my back hurts from just walking, incorrectly. So what is it going to take to keep him playing for another year? I think $1 million, $1.5 million. What would you guys say? What would be your ceiling for Zach Parise contract? Sam says Lou holding Ishikov because of his size, which is criminal. I totally agree. We should not be holding back these small players. We shouldn't. The talent is there. It really is. He's playing in I would say, a more physical league in the AHL, and he's excelling, right? Like, let's go look at his stats. Let's dive in, shall we, to my buddy Rustin Ishikov. Okay. He's got 47 points. Oh my God. 16 goals. This is not, as I said before, a goal scorer. He's not going to put up 20 goals at the show, but he's probably going to put up, maybe not 20, but close to it at the AHL level. In 58 games, 47 points. Leads all rookies in scoring. And right now he's on not a point streak, but look at that production. You know, he's barely going 2 games without a point since the middle of February. Look at all of that production. He's rarely kept off the score sheet. And look at the shots. My man is throwing pucks towards the net. That's what you got to do to create goals, to create opportunities. He's doing all of it. I don't understand why he's not at the NHL yet. Of course, that could be because they've got guys that they're more interested in, and they're trying to get Holmstrom going because it's been since 2019. They want to get something out of that first-round pick, but I think they're trying a little bit too hard. Rob says, Yannick was a great face-off guy. You're darn right, yeah, Yannick was a great face-off guy. What is his face-off stats? Yannick Perrault. I just watched the Shoresy show again because I mentioned it the other day on the Up the Turnpike podcast. The two guys that are doing the French announcing, and they're the way they do the over French is hilarious. They're at the Panini place, or Pitter Patter Panini. Oh, it just reminds me back in the day when I would watch, because I watched French hockey, and you'd have a Canadian Tire ad come on, and there's no translation for Canadian Tire. You wouldn't say Canadian pneu, which is the word for tire in French. You'd just say here like Canadian Tire. Oh, brings me back. So Yannick Perrault stats. That's what I want to look up right meow. His face-off numbers is what I want to get. And unfortunately, we can't get... Well, just look at that last year, 64.5%. 64.5%. Now, we're missing basically his entire career face-off numbers, but my God, 64.5. That's insane. He won 294 face-offs in that season as a 36-year-old in 53 games. Just incredible stuff from Yannick Perrault. Sam says, Dobson draws the penalty. It's an Islanders power play. Amazing. Please tell me they score on it. The fact that I don't see anything there tells me they did not. So, all right. Then we've got back to Avenant. Parise's 39, going on 23. Oh, man. That makes me feel a whole lot older because I'm 38 going on 45. Oh, man. Sam says Ishikov led the league in points for a while, but he has cooled off a lot. Yeah, those games where he doesn't put up a point really kind of slows him down against some of like the leaders in the league. Thank you, Dennis, for no power play goal update. So if we look at the player stats in the AHL, so you got TJ Tynan's got 70 points. Now, he's only got 8 goals, mind you, so that tells you a lot. He's a hell of a playmaker, but only 8 goals? Okie doke. Alex Barry-Boulet, that's an older player right there. But, you know, Chris Terry's up there. That's great to see. He's always up there. But 47 points for Ishikov is still pretty darn good. Can I not go to the next page? Yeah, there it is. It's just not obvious enough. 47 points is 38th highest scorer in the AHL of all players, not even regarding position. I love that they have him as a forward because he can be used everywhere, which is amazing. Russian just out there doing everything. But when you just look at rookies, my man's up there with Georgi Merkulov. Who the heck is that guy? Georgi Merkulov. Of course, he plays for Providence. I've never heard of this guy before. So 2000, he's still a young player, but look at that. That is excellent production from him. Does anyone know who this guy is outside of his name? Because I had never heard of this name before. But good job by Ruslan leading the things. But you're right, Sam. He did cool off for a little bit. You're right to Pops. Sorry. Oh, I skipped a few, but I'm going to go this way anyways. You're right to Pops. Holmstrom is so horrible and yet keeps getting first line minutes. What a cupcake organization. You are negative. You are very negative. You're not entirely wrong, though, obviously. Like, Holmstrom is not burying goals left, right, and center. He's got that intelligence to him. He's going to be a good player, I think. And by good, I mean he could play full-time at the NHL level, in my opinion. not in a first line role. He is Josh Bailey 2.0. Maybe in 5 years from now he'll be first line ready, but he is not right now. And so you can't keep rolling him out first line minutes as the Islanders are right now, in my opinion. Try something else. It just isn't working, in my opinion. I like what he does out there. His underlying numbers are good, but at a certain point, the underlying numbers need to be overlying numbers, if you will, and they haven't made that transition just yet. So I skipped a few there. Ishikov. So Avedon says, who is your least favorite player, not including PJ Boy? So is that, I'm going to assume you mean just Islander player, because the question I got earlier was least or most favorite or favorite Islander player. My least favorite Islander player ever, I guess, is going to have to be Kirk Muller, if that really counts as an Islander player. Just an absolute jerk move by him, left, right, and center. I hated him, and I still hate him today. So that's my least favorite Islander player. My least favorite player in general, it's got to be, I don't want to just say like someone who I disrespect. I want to have it be someone I respect, but I wouldn't like playing against. And I'm going to say Brad Marchand. It just, the fact that he was first a rat and then an elite player is the worst for anyone ever. He should not be this good at hockey and be such a rat. He shouldn't be, and he is. So credit to him for that. I wish I could be that good at hockey, and unfortunately I'm not. But man, that's one of the guys I hate playing against. Avedon also says, also, do you think you will be able to get Russ back on the channel after the season? I believe you had him on previously. I can definitely get Russ on. There's no question, qualms, or problems with that. I'm actually talking with Bridgeport now and trying to collaborate with some social stuff with the Bridgeport Islanders. So hopefully more to come on that regards. But definitely with Russ, and I can get him back on the show. I do plan on starting a Deckhands podcast, and that would be interviews with the various Islanders prospects, so different prospect every week. We've got around 30 of them, which should last me like 7.5 months if I did the math right. So I plan on getting these guys back, but I can definitely do a one-on-one show with Ruslan after the season is over. And so skipping ahead, Sam says, I love Holmstrom, but he wasn't a first rounder. There was better players available, 100%. Philip Tomasino was one of them. Did I get that name right? Yeah. Philip Tomasino and Connor McMichael, excellent players, right? If we just look at them. So it's 2019 NHL draft hockey DB, because they give you the stats. And so if we go down to Simon Holmstrom at 5 points at NHL level, Philip Tomasino, very next player, 43 points in 93 games. It's not nearly a point per game player, but that's pretty gosh darn good. Connor McMichael, 18 points in 75 games, so not nearly as good. But the fact that Philip Tomasino is right there doing the damn thing, and Simon Holmstrom is not really, it kind of stings, right? 11 points in 17 games this year. That's a lot more impressive. That's a lot more impressive than what it was when you just look at the overall numbers. So the fact that he was there and we didn't grab him kind of stings, because Sam's right. Holmstrom should have been the second round pick. There was no reason to reach for him. Dennis with the update on the power play. Avedon says, are you concerned with Jeffrey's shooting percentage? I believe it's around 10%. You're right, it is 10%. It's 10.3% this year. It was 10.6% last year. Am I concerned with it? No, I think that's a sustainable rate for him, no matter the level he's at. It's a little low, right? If I do the math, if he takes like 150 shots times 10.3%, 150 times 0.103, that's 15 goals on the year. All right. That's Josh Bailey territory in terms of goal scoring. That's assuming he's only getting 150 shots on net. So I'm not too worried about it. I think what we're seeing there is sustainable, and we're not seeing these like 25% where you're going like there's going to be some hard regression to come from that. Just look at Bo Horvat. So, pardon me. Yeah, I'm fine with his shooting percentage. I would love to see it higher, but I'll deal with what he's got now. Sam says he wouldn't be worried. Sam also says Merkulov is good. I've seen him in Bridgeport. He is nasty. Well, that's unfortunate. That he is nasty, that is. So Max says, hey, Deckhands, you could just call me Mitch. Just call me Mitch. You don't have to worry about Deckhands, but I appreciate that very much because you probably didn't know that. So far, your take on Horvat last 10 games. Concerning or give it time? Not having Barzy isn't helping, but 2 points in the last 10. I really appreciate this question, Sam. Max. I really appreciate this question because it is something that we have to be a little concerned with. The way that I framed it on Twitter the other day was that this regression was bound to happen. So I'm going to bring up his stats here. So Bo Horvat is 63 points in 68 games. Obviously, that's not all with the New York Islanders. But when you look at his stats with Vancouver, 54 points, 49 games, 31 goals, shooting at 21.7%. That's really high. That was bound to come down. His entire career on average with Vancouver is 14. If you just take everything before last year, I got that right. I love Hockey Reference to do this. None of their other reference pages do this, by the way. I use it for their basketball reference, and it doesn't do the same thing last I checked. Anyways, his entire career pre-last season with the Vancouver Canucks, his shooting percentage was 13.1. 13.1, and it was 21.7 last year, or this year with Vancouver. It was bound to come down. And like we see with Bo Horvat, he scores more goals than he has assists. And so the fact that he is not scoring as much is why he's not putting up that production. And that scoring was bound to go down. So he's shooting at 8.9% with the Islanders. That was bound to go down. If you take the total over the season, he is at 18.1%, which is closer to where he was, right? 13%. Even high, I think you can give him an extra 2%, so he should be around 15. So I'm not saying the regression is definitely going to continue for a while. What I'm saying is that we should kind of get comfortable with the regression up until now. I think it's fine and it'll turn around. So thank you, Max, for that. Sam says, I really hated Jack Hillen. I don't know why. I just hated his game. That's fair. That's fair. Screw that guy. Dennis' favorite Islander all time, Denny Potvin. Yes, sir. Whoop, right there. Good old Denny. Except I got to talk to Denny. Last time I saw him, he said I was from Quebec, which I'm very much not. Not that that's an insult, but I'm from Vanier, which is the big difference. So Sam, Rustin is the best. When I interviewed him, he was so nice. He is such a sweet dude. Rustin is such a nice guy. I love speaking to him anytime I can. If I haven't spoken to him in like 2 weeks, it's like we had never lost contact type of thing. He's such a cool and really honest player. I love speaking with Rustin Shukov. He's an excellent hockey player and person. So Sam says, I still miss Atu. I would have rather give up another first rounder. Yeah, I would definitely love to give up another first rounder for sure instead of losing Aturatu, who is, last I checked, doing better at the AHL level. I don't want to get his elite prospect page because I wanted his actual stats as of now. And what I mean by that is a game by game breakdown because I think that'll give us a clearer picture of how he's doing. And so Aturatu right now, 23 points in 42 games, doing very well right now for the Abbotsford Canucks. So he's got 8 points in 15 games for Abbotsford right now. And if you go scroll down, look at that. Since the beginning of March, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 points in how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's a point per game player at the AHL level right now. Hell of a pickup by Vancouver. So good job by them, although maybe not so good job. Not necessarily with Atu, but the fact that they picked up Anthony Beauvillier and now they're winning and ruining their tank. They lost on both ends of that trade. They really did. I wanted to write something for Oddshark about how many ways Vancouver lost that trade, and it's at least 2 ways, if not 3. So that really sucks for them. Oh, sorry. I need to stay hydrated. Hey, Abaddon says, by the way, how's your puppy doing? Long time without an appearance. Also, favorite hockey card you have ever pulled? Ooh. Favorite hockey card is... Where is it? I had it right here. Come on. Where the heck is it? It might be here. Nope. Where is it? I don't know where that hockey card went. Well, that stinks. It might be in here. Yeah, there it is. It is a Braden Point authentic jersey. I don't know. I don't have it in a protector. That's just because I can't find one thick enough. I don't think these top loaders would work. I don't think, because this is a pretty thick card. You probably can't tell, but like, here's a regular card. The thickness of that regular, look at that. You can barely see it compared to this. Like, it's so much thicker than other cards. So getting it in a top loader is kind of an issue. Oh, maybe it'll work. See, I don't want to ruin the card either. I don't want to fold it. So like, I don't want to force it in. But this is my favorite card. When I was a kid, these didn't exist, right? And now that they exist, oh my god, Fashing! Woo! Sorry, I'm just seeing the updates lower in here. But this is my favorite card that I've pulled so far. Favorite card that I own though, is not that. My favorite cards that I own, it's 3. Is this Pierre Turgeon autograph card where I met him at his cottage in Rouyn-Noranda, Quebec. I just walked up. We were staying at the cottage next door. I walked up. I got him to sign it. Met his dog. Best day of my life. And then these 2 cards are from my dad, Al Arbor. An Al Arbor hockey card, not as a player, but as the coach of the Islanders. You don't see coach hockey cards. I love this. And then Denny Potvin. Denny, the man Potvin. With the chops. Look at the stash on him. You probably can't see it, but he's got a hell of a mustache. If I can zoom in on him right here. Look at the mustache on that guy. Oh, I wish. Mine is going to get there eventually. Eventually. Soon enough, it will get there. So those are my favorite hockey cards that I've pulled and that I own. And Pete is doing great. We went for a super long run today. He's growing very strong. He's maybe not growing tall anymore, but he's very strong. I don't know if he'll actually come downstairs, but because he's pooped at this point. But for the next one, I'll make sure Pete makes an appearance. Okay, Sam says, plus Lou loves giving away first rounders. He really does. But with the rate that he's turning these 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounders into something, I'm not too worried about it. I would love to have a first rounder, but if he's turning first rounders into capable NHLers, I'm fine. Rato has 15 games, 2 goals, 8 points. Perfect. Love that you're on top of that. I just bought a Brock Nelson 1-for-1 rookie card. Oh, 1 of 1 rookie card? 1 of 1? No, you're not telling me you got a serialized 1 of 1 Brock Nelson rookie card. That would be... How much did you spend on that? My gosh. And then Fashing. So why haven't they signed Hudson Fashing yet? I don't understand why they haven't signed him. Just do it already, right? If you could sign Hudson Fashing, what would be the contract right now? $850, $950, $1 million? Above 1? Let me know. So Sam says, I got a 1-1 Nelson rookie. It was only $25. Oh, hell yeah. That's excellent. I haven't gone into or dabbled into the buying the individual cards yet. I still haven't moved the cards I've got. Like, I really want to start moving some of these that I've pulled that I don't really want. Like this Owen Powers one that Sam told me was worth something. Checked it up. It is. But I'm not able to get, eBay to work for some reason. I don't get it. And this one I think might be worth something too, because it's monochrome. It's black and white instead of the colored. So I want to move them so that I could go and buy the individual ones that I want or would like, but it is what it is. I can't get eBay to work for some reason. I can't link it to my bank account, which seems strange, but I'll figure it out. It's a problem for another day. There's a video of it on my channel. Okay, great. I'll go check it out. I haven't gone on to stream other people's stuff in a couple of days. I would grade that Owen Powers, send it to PSA. I've never done that. So maybe you can walk me through the process a bit later, because I don't really understand how that works. I assume you pay them up front, send them anyways. Yeah, just let me know how it works afterwards, because I don't really understand how grading cards works particularly. In a 10, it's worth money. Yeah, I bet so. I bet it is. I don't know if it's a 10, but I would love for it to be a 10, obviously. And then, so we're going to close out the show in the next 5 minutes, but I got 2 more here. So Max says, do you see the identity line continuing to an end coming to an end next season with guys like Fashing and Engvall sticking around producing. Yeah, I forgot about Engvall. We were talking earlier about spots in the lineup for Arnaud Durando. With Pierre Engvall doing the thing, like, or playing very well, that further limits the spots that Arnaud Durando could claim. So, do I see the fourth line continuing as it exists now next season? Yes, I can see it coming to an end next year. 100%. Cal just doesn't look right, and he's missing too many games, but that contract still has term on it, right? Like, there's a number of years left on that contract. Let's just go to that page right meow. Cal Clutterbuck, he's only got one more year, so perfect. That's perfect. And can we buy him out? What does that look like if we buy him out next year? We save $1.1 million on the cap for 23-24. Not saying we should do it, but we should not do it, if you get my drift. And then the next season, it's only a $583,000 cap hit. It seems like it should be done. And of course, Matt Martin's got a contract for a while, right? Matt Martin, not even same time. Oh, yeah. Done. Matty doesn't need to be bought out, though, because he can still play. But I can see it ending, for sure. That fourth line is no longer going to be what it was next year. I can't see it happening. And then Sam says PSA prices now are only $18 per card. Ooh, okay. All right. And then he says, could Del Cole make a comeback to the NHL? He had a pretty good year for TPS Turku in Liga. I don't think so. I don't think there's a spot for Michael Del Cole at the NHL level. I really don't. When we look at his stats, if you guys haven't been following along what he's doing in TPS Turku, he's not really scoring a lot, which was his thing. But 19 points in 36 games is good for a first-year player at the Liga level. But this does not, to me, translate. He needs to come back to the NHL. Maybe someone gives him some monies to come back, but I don't really think it's going to happen. I think that ship has sailed, and then Michael Del Cole will no longer ever play at the NHL level, which is fine. I don't want to see anyone crapping on him for that. I would love to be playing hockey in Finland right now. Oh my God, do you imagine how much I would love that? I don't like it hot. I like cold climates. Finland sounds like a perfect spot for me. It's too hot here in Ottawa. It's too hot for me here. I would love to be in Finland playing hockey and paid. They're paid well too. Heck yeah. Why the heck not? So, yeah. And then the last, pulling up the rear there, so Matt DiBernardo says UBS is rocking. You'll love to see it. Yeah, I could only imagine. I'm not watching the game right now, and I can't wait to turn it on. I'm going to turn it on in a few minutes here. We're on to 57 minutes of the stream. I know it's 9:05, but we started it late because of technical issues, of course. Derek Brassard was so good for us. I think they should have brought him back. Oh, that's one that I don't agree with. I don't think he was that good. He was great as a winger. When you look at his production that year, Derek Brassard's production really picked up when he moved to that second line and played on the wing. But once he went back to the middle and the third line, he just was no longer around. MIA. At the time, Del Cole wasn't the wrong pick, but it wasn't the right pick either. No, I totally agree. It was not the right pick. It was indeed the wrong pick to make. I get that the scouting said he should go there, but not great. We are rolling. I love it. Yes, Matt. And then Avinen says, have you started your draft research yet? I have not. I'm hyper focused on the New York Islanders right now and what's going on in the prospect pool that I have not started doing work on the 2023 draft. My gosh. Clutterbuck! Oh, the fourth line! Oh my God! Who needs Bohorvat scoring if you're getting all the goals from the bottom six? Yeah. Right as I throw Clutter on the buck, he scores. Love it. Oh my God. My phone is going off. I can see the game scores happening. O'Leary's texting me, says, I just want to tell you, I would effing die for Fashing. Oh, it's just, oh my God. Oh, I love it. Sorry, what was I talking about here? Have I started my draft research yet? I have not, but I would imagine that that's going to start real soon, for not only the channel, but for OddsShark as well. Once the March madness has ended, I'm sure they're gonna ask me to start writing pieces on the draft. I'm kind of hoping they send me to it, but we'll see. If they don't, maybe I'll go anyways. But I don't know just yet. But I'm gonna start doing the research soon. And so let's go, Cal. So I'm going to take last questions here. I'm going to read these last two, and that's it. And that's trade Peugeot and Otto Koivula and a second rounder for pick 1 and get Bedard. I don't think that gets it done, but I'm glad you think so. If Fantil is available at about pick 5, they got to trade up. I don't disagree. I just don't think that they've got the assets to make it work. That there's no way they can trade that high up, right? Because they're starting from a late second round pick. So yeah, I don't think they're gonna get the assets unless they can move some other players on the roster, and I don't think they're gonna do that. But yeah, so thank you everyone for joining the chat. Yes, thank you, Max. You're welcome, and thanks for all the questions. I thought that this was really successful, and I'm gonna do it again. I'm not sure what day, but I might do it next Tuesday again. So I really enjoyed this. I thought it went well, and I'm gonna keep doing it because I enjoyed it. So. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for subscribing. And we will catch you next week.